Hello everyone, my name is Kador, and welcome to a CD collection video. This is going to be a little different from, I guess, most of the collection videos I make on this channel. A lot of them focus on noise and whatnot. Only a couple noise albums in this one, but I'm going to show you tons of CDs. This was spurred by someone at my workplace recently brought in a box labeled 2000s memorabilia, free 2000s memorabilia. And it was just a bunch of CDs, a lot of emo and post-hardcore kind of stuff from the 2000s, of course. And I'm usually a sucker for that kind of stuff, so I picked up a bunch of that. And I'm also going to show you some CDs that were originally my parents', and they kind of just, fell into my hands over time, I suppose. So, yeah, a lot to show off in this video. Let's get started. So I'm going to start with the ones that I got from work. So I picked up Illinois by Sufjan Stevens. I've shown the vinyl of this on this channel before, and I've talked about Sufjan a lot. I realized I actually showed the Michigan vinyl that I have twice in like two different videos. I forgot I already showed it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just love Sufjan Stevens, so I'm like, why not have a CD also, right? And this is definitely one of his best albums. I think Carrie and Lowell is maybe tied with this as my favorite from him. But yeah, I feel like everyone should love Sufjan Stevens. He's just like obviously a masterful musician and composer, singer, instrumentalist, all that, So anyway, got some nice art. Has this booklet. Just unfolds a lot, and there's all the lyrics and stuff here. The other side is just kind of like the cover art extended over a whole like painting, which is cool. So yeah, this is definitely a good place to start with Sufjan Stevens if you've never heard him before. Yeah, it's like simultaneously accessible, like very pleasant to listen to, and also very just interesting and unique and inventive and kind of, yeah, I don't know, it's just so good. The next one is Death Cab for Cutie. I generally like this band. I like the Postal Service a lot. That's what the singer of this band is in that. And yeah, I liked a couple of the other albums I've heard from Death Cab, so I thought I'd pick this one up. And it's probably my least favorite one I've heard from them so far, but I still like it, and there's a lot of good songs on it. If you've never heard them, it's kind of just like indie rock, I guess, indie pop sort of stuff. They have some like, I don't know, some other genres mixed in here and there, but it's more or less pretty straightforward, just like, yeah, rock music, I guess. It's nice. The booklet's kind of cool because each page is like shorter than the next one, I guess. But yeah, just lyrics. Nothing too special there with the packaging or with the album, in my opinion, but it's good. All the rest of the CDs that I got from work are all like the emo, post-hardcore kind of variety. So we got Thursday, A City by the Light Divided. I think this is actually my favorite Thursday album that I've heard so far. I've heard also War All the Time, which I really liked, and I heard Full Collapse a while ago, but I feel like I should re-listen to that because I didn't really love it when I first heard it. But this album's really cool. It mixes in some like sort of noise rock, like post-punk elements into the emo post-hardcore thing, which makes it really unique and have some really interesting creative moments on it. And yeah, I mean, I just really love his vocals. Very passionate and like, I don't know, got a lot of personality, I guess. And there's a cool booklet here with some really neat, like, sort of, I don't know, dystopian kind of photos, I guess. There's a little quote in the beginning. This is like a metro subway map that just leads to all the song titles, which is kind of cool. And yeah, just the lyrics, some cool photos. Yeah, Thursday is a great band, and I want to listen to more of their stuff, but so far I think this is my favorite thing I've heard from them. And then we have Say Anything Is a Real Boy. I heard this album a while ago, and I didn't love it when I first heard it, but I guess I decided to pick it up because I know a lot of other people really like this thing. Sorry for the glare, you can barely even see it. But yeah, I decided to give it another try. And this also has like a bonus disc that's just like 25 minutes or so. It's just like B-sides basically, which I didn't really like very much. I mean, it's all right. I did like the first disc a little bit more on second listen for sure, but it's still not something that I don't think I'd ever return in full to personally. I don't know. The vocalist is like kind of obnoxious. He has a lot of personality for sure, but sometimes I don't know. The lyrics alternate between like really good and just really like cringy and bad. So I don't know. It's sort of like a mixed bag. I really like the last track on the first disc. Admit it. I think the lyrics to that track are great, and it's just like really good overall. Um, but yeah. Anyway, the disc always falls out whenever I open it. There's one behind it. But yeah. And then yeah, if you look in the booklet, it's these leaves and then it opens up like that, and it's basically saying that this is like a rock opera like concept album kind of thing. um I don't know, it's a whole thing. I don't want to get into it, but there's a whole concept behind it, I guess. I don't really think that matters too much, but yeah, there's a few good tracks in here, but most of this I would not return to. um Vocals are just a little bit much at times, I would say. And the instrumentals aren't really anything special either. Next up, we have Louder Now by Taking Back Sunday. I think their debut album and thought it was like fine, but never really returned to it. But I figured I'd give them another chance with another album, and I didn't like this one even as much as that. I don't think it has a few good songs, like definitely a few really catchy choruses in here, but I don't know. A lot of it feels just very bland and kind of uninspired and just a bit overproduced, I guess. Like there's not much soul or I don't know character to it. It's just sort of generic, I guess. But yeah, like a few good songs for sure. It's just like emo pop type stuff. No like screaming or anything. Just pretty accessible. Lyrics pretty straightforward. I don't know if you can even see with this glare, but nothing too special. Next we got Seocean, I think is how it's pronounced. I really loved the debut EP of this band when Anthony Green was the vocalist. But for this album, which is their debut album, Anthony Green was replaced by someone else, and I don't know, the music got a lot less like energetic and intense in my opinion, more just kind of radio friendly, I guess. There's still some really good songs on here for sure, and I generally like enjoy listening to it. It's like a pleasant listen, you know, but it really doesn't compare to Translating the Name, their like debut EP with Anthony Green. Anthony Green's vocals just can't be replaced really by anyone, and those songs are all just like perfect like for this genre. So I would definitely recommend that over this, but this is still pretty good for what it is. The booklet is pretty interesting. It kind of unfolds. That's not really a booklet, it just unfolds like this, but it has the lyrics on this side, and then it has this like these photos of a bug like growing in a light bulb and then bursting out of it. No idea what that's supposed to mean, but it's an interesting little visual metaphor probably for something. I don't know. So yeah, anyway, pretty cool. Next we have Glassjaw with their debut album Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence. I'm not too into this album. I listened to a few other things by Glassjaw actually. I like their more recent, like their two latest EPs. I actually like a lot better than any of their albums that I've heard. It's kind of a different style, I feel like, but this is their debut. The vocals are, again, just like a bit much, kind of like the Say Anything record, except he's just like not even that good at singing. Like he'll just sing melodies that feel like they're out of tune or they just like don't fit. I don't know. His screaming is pretty good. It's like very frantic and intense, you know, but yeah, and I don't know, the instrumentals just don't really grab me either. Some of the lyrics are kind of, I don't know, cringeworthy, I think, as well. Yeah, I'm not super into this one. Like there are some cool moments, but overall not something I would return to. There's a booklet with band photo and just, yeah, it folds out like that, and the lyrics. Yeah, I would, if you're gonna listen to this band, personally, I vastly prefer their more recent couple EPs. I forget what they're called. One of them has like a blank red cover, I think. That one's really good. Next, there is A Static Lullaby. I think this is maybe the only band that I didn't really know anything about and hadn't heard before, from all these CDs that I got. And so, but I knew that, I mean, just by the cover art and the titles and everything alone, I can tell this is a 2000s emo, screamo type of record. I just really love that kind of aesthetic. You know what I mean? If you know, you know. But, yeah, and this is really good. It's a really solid example of that style. It's, just kind of that alternating between singing and screaming sort of style of post-hardcore. But it's like kind of raw, it's not too overproduced or anything, and it just sounds really good. I really like that style. So anyway, here's the booklets. Got this glare. Yeah, it's just lyrics, kind of neat artwork, I guess. And they have a huge list of thanks, and they name a bunch of different bands. Like a Static Lullaby thanks these bands, and they name like so many. A lot of just like emo stuff from the 2000s, but some unexpected ones too. Very long list. But anyway, yeah, this is a good album. It's pretty underrated or underknown, I guess. I don't think too many people know about this, but if you're into that kind of 2000s post-hardcore, emo, screamo type of style, definitely check this out. And finally, the last of the CDs that I got at work. This is the Get Up Kids with Something to Write Home About. I have actually really liked this album for a long time, so I was happy to see a copy of it there. Although there's like certain songs that I would like replay from the album, but it had been a while since I've listened to the whole thing all the way through. And after listening to it all the way through, I feel like it's definitely very front-loaded. Like my favorite songs are Holiday, Valentine, and 10 Minutes, probably. Action and Action is really good too. Like those are all like incredible emo pop songs, like some of the best in the genre. But a lot of the other ones just feel like kind of worse versions of those songs that aren't as memorable, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's a great album overall, still, and just worth it for those songs especially. So it folds out into this sort of thing. It's got these cute robot art. This is from like '98, I believe, which I feel like is kind of before a lot of this like emo pop, sort of stuff came out. So one of the kind of the first wave of that stuff. This is a little catalog thing that came with it, advertising their merch. And yeah, there's a little thing with their lyrics and some photos of them, I guess, like on tour or whatever. So yeah, definitely recommend the Get Up Kids. They're one of the best bands in that kind of emo pop style. Alright, I'm gonna have a little noise intermission here because I gotta show off some noise in every video, apparently. So these two CDs are by Trio Bits, who is a good friend of mine and fellow noise artist, and we've played some shows together collaboratively and just as different acts. And yeah, I just figured I would shout it out. They're just these, little thin handmade CDR kind of situations. So this one's called Noisedelic, I guess. And interesting thing about this is that I actually have a track on this one. So my solo noise project is called Spatial Absence, and what he did was he sent me this like rap acapella. Well, it was like rapping and singing and screaming with some guy, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just like the acapella for some song. Like it sounds like it's supposed to have just like a hard rap beat behind it, but I just paired it with a bunch of noise and just distorted the whole thing. And it came out pretty interesting, I think. It doesn't really sound like anything else that I've heard exactly. So look at these rainbows on my face. That's cool. Anyway, it kind of matches the artwork, right? Yeah, so I have a little bonus track on there. And the actual album, I mean, it's good. I don't know. I'm not going to hype it up too much just because he's my friend. I mean, it's kind of straightforward, harsh noise. Nothing much to say about it, but, if you like that kind of thing, you should like it. And then the other one is basically Trio Collection. It's kind of like a compilation of tracks from various releases, I guess. And it's like he made a few copies just to give away to friends, and there's this nice little message in there just saying like, you're a close friend and I'm grateful to have you in my life, and giving you this CD. So that's very nice. And this one's very eclectic, more so than the other one. Like there's a few harsh noise tracks, but there's also some weird, like, I don't know, quieter, just sound experimentation, sort of ambient-ish moments. which are pretty cool and make it more interesting, I think. But yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd shout those out. Trio Bits is a very cool guy. All right, next I'm gonna show off some CDs that were originally my parents, and now have kind of fallen into my hands. So these first two, their blue cover art, are by Steve Reich. If you don't know Steve Reich, he's one of the founders of minimalism, which is like a style of modern classical featuring a lot of loops and like very repetitive phrases that kind of change slightly over time. And I would say Music for 18 Musicians here is the perfect example of that. The greatest thing he's made, and one of the greatest just pieces of classical music of any kind that I've ever heard. It's really incredible. Really just a perfect album in my opinion. This is I think like a later recording of it, like from the 90s, and the original's from the 70s. So the composition is actually a lot older, but this is a newer recording. So anyway, it's just really, it comes out of this little case here. Really hypnotic and entrancing and just ethereal and beautiful, and yeah, I feel like it's a bit over an hour, but I feel like I could go on forever and I would never get sick of it. Like, it's just so gorgeous. So anyway, there's just a jewel case. It has this big booklet, and the booklet is it has this whole like essay, I guess, about the piece. Picture there. Yeah, it just kind of goes on for a while. I haven't read the whole thing, admittedly, but then it also has it in French and German, I think. Another picture on the back. So that's why the booklet's so thick, is it's like 3 languages. But yeah, if you are looking for where to start with Steve Reich or with just modern classical music in general, this is a perfect place to start. Music for 18 Musicians. And then the other one is another great example of minimalism. Tehillim. It's, I don't know, it's not quite as like pure, I don't know if that makes sense, like purely repetitive and minimalistic as Music for 18 Musicians. And it's just not as standout as that album in my opinion, but it's still really good and really enjoyable if you like that sort of thing. And again, it just has a big booklet in a bunch of different languages. Just kind of opens up like that at the end with some liner notes. And yeah, I would say definitely start with Music for 18 Musicians, and if you like that, Tehillim is probably a good next place to go. Next, we have Dummy by Portishead. Yeah, I mean, this is just a classic. I think this is pretty widely recognized as a great album by a great band. It's trip hop, I guess, which just means these kind of low-key hip hop sort of instrumentals with just beautiful singing over top. Just very like chill nocturnal vibes on this one. I'm really like in the mood for it whenever it comes on. Just really, yeah, I never get sick of it. It's very good, very good music. I don't know. The booklet is pretty cool because it has this little like punched out clover, I guess. It also has this weird like postcard, or like this little like sheet you fill out and I guess like mail in, so you can know about upcoming releases and tours and whatnot by them. And there's this thing on the back that's like, email us the information through the internet at AOL.com. So like they're using the email and all that back in like 1994 is when this was released. I feel like the internet was not very widely used back then, right? Like, I feel like they were like one of the first musicians or like artists to kind of embrace the internet like that, which is interesting. But anyway, Portishead, classic, obviously. I just realized the last 3 album covers were all like primarily blue, and then this one's also blue. Like, so many blue ones in a row. But anyway, these next 2 are by Dead Can Dance. I guess my parents are fans of this band. I've never been super into them. I listened to like one of their albums, and I've heard some of these growing up, I think, because some of them sounded familiar, some of the tracks. But I listened to them recently, and I'm honestly not super into them. I don't know. I know that a lot of people like them, but so The Serpent's Egg is from, I believe, the 80s, 88. and it's I guess like neoclassical dark wave is the term that they get grouped under. I don't really know what that means exactly, but the music just sounds like I don't know. There's not much of an emphasis on rhythm or like beats or whatever or drums. You know, it's like very I guess somber and like I don't know. Sounds like funeral music sort of. Um, it's kind of ritualistic. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It doesn't really do a whole lot for me, to be honest. Like, it just sounds a little. I don't know. Like the instrumentation isn't very interesting. The production is kind of flat, and I feel like there's nothing that really grabs me with this kind of stuff. The Spirit Chaser is more like, I guess, new agey, and has more like tribal kind of rhythmic drumming going on throughout most of it. Um, and yeah, it just feels like I don't know. They're taking a lot of influence from like African folk music and just various like tribal sounding music, I guess, and it just sounds sort of like inauthentic somehow. Like it's just like a bland, kind of watered down, more commercially appealing version of like the kind of ritualistic tribal music that they're taking influence from. Maybe I'm reading too far into it. I don't know, but for me, it just sounds a little cheesy and doesn't really do much for me. But anyway, so Serpent's Egg here has a booklet. I always have a hard time getting these booklets out. I like this tree thing on the back. That's cool art. Some lyrics. And then Spirit Chaser has a thing as well. It folds out like that. Lyrics. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've given this band plenty of chances, and I'm just not super into them. It's not really my kind of thing. Alright, and the next three, the last three that I'm going to show in this video, are all by Radiohead. My dad's a big Radiohead fan. I grew up listening to some of it, and I'm also a pretty big Radiohead fan, I would say. I don't think they're the greatest band of all time or anything, like a lot of people do, but they're pretty good. They have a lot of really good music. I think probably In Rainbows is my favorite from them. Still need to re-listen to some of their other stuff, but yeah, this is I don't know, it's just a great fusion of like rock and electronic music. It's very spacey and has a lot of really cool sounds on it. The production is just so, I don't know, so gorgeous. And of course, Tom York's voice is just one of a kind, you know. So this is cool. It kind of opens up into this weird little box, this thing, and then it just has these like materials inside. So it has the booklet, right, and then it has this thing which has the CD in it. Just kind of comes out like that, and then it has these stickers that are basically meant to like you can like make your own like regular jewel case version of this rather than having to put it in this box. Like you can just put these stickers on the front and back of the of the CD, or like the jewel case for the CD, you know, and then it becomes just like a regular CD, I guess. But I kind of like it in this weird packaging, so I'm just gonna keep it like that. But I really like the artwork for this release too. It's just like this kind of cool abstract psychedelic sort of stuff. Oops. So yeah, all the lyrics are in here. Sorry, this glare is terrible. I should probably fix that, but anyway, a lot of cool artwork. And yeah, very cool album, very beautiful. And then we have Amnesiac, which I would say is probably, well, I haven't heard The King of Limbs. I heard that's like mostly electronic, but I also heard it's not very good, so I guess I haven't checked it out yet. But I think aside from that, this is maybe their most electronic record. There's like a little bit of rockish stuff, but it's mostly just like weird electronic kind of experimental stuff. Like there's definitely some very strange tracks on it, but it's not super inaccessible at the same time. But yeah, it's really good. I think some tracks are definitely better than others, but overall, it's one of their more interesting records, and for someone who's really into electronic music like I am, it definitely appeals to me more than like their straightforward rock stuff, you know. So anyway, this booklet is just art. It's just really cool artwork. I'm a huge fan. I guess Yeah, there is text that I assume is the lyrics to some of the songs, but they're like kind of hard to read. You can only make out like fragments because they're just like worked into the artwork, which I think is really cool. So really awesome booklet. Whoever does the art for a lot of these Radiohead releases is really talented. All right, and then the last CD I'm going to show here is "Hail to the Thief." I heard this for the first time pretty recently, and I don't know. I think it's a little inconsistent. It's definitely not one of their best. There's a few tracks that stand out. Um, Sort of like an equal balance of rock and electronic. Sort of goes back and forth between those styles, but I don't feel like it really merges them together too well, like it does on In Rainbows, for example. Um, but yeah, it's good. You know, there's some good tracks. If you're a fan, then you'll probably enjoy it. Um, but not definitely not one of their best albums. So anyway, there's all these collages of words and stuff, and then all the lyrics. Yeah, you get the idea. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have some more CDs and also tapes and a record and like books and stuff. I have a lot of stuff to show off from Skeleton Dust Records the last time I went there, but I just got to get through all that first, because I still have to finish a book and a couple tapes. So once I do all that, I'll make a video showing off all that stuff too, and that's all going to be like noise, you know. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you some other time.